Hi everybody!
I'll make no secret of this. I hate the Grand Theft Auto franchise. That's not what this video is about though. It's about how the gaming industry as a whole has a Grand Theft Auto 6 problem. It has been stated Grand Theft Auto 6 will pop out next year, but the looming release of GTA6 is actively causing developers and publishers to hold back on announcing projects for next year. It's not hard to see why. If you use your brain and a little thing called logic, it's clear other studios are holding off on revealing upcoming games for next year because they want to give Grand Theft Auto as wide a berth as they can. If they put their game up against a new GTA title, they're going to get slaughtered in the sales department. For games on the indie and AA scene, this is much less of a problem, but AAA releases are keeping silent for now. The smaller budget games know they can't compete with GTA either, but they don't have to. When perusing the list of games expected to release next year, it isn't like how things have been for the previous 4. There was always multiple games in each quarter that had my attention. When looking at next year's releases, the only projected games I'm interested in are 2XKO, Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, Persona 6 if that winds up being its release window, and Wolverine. That's it. So for me personally, that's a pretty weak list. Plus, if you go to video games releasing in 2025 on Wikipedia, there isn't much showing, which is pretty damning since next year is roughly 8 months away at the time of recording, so having a fairly open release schedule is a pretty bleak thing. This tells us either one of two things: 2025 is going to be a light year for releases, which is not a good thing for the industry as a whole, or it means other companies are playing around the release date of Grand Theft Auto 6 and are waiting for Rockstar to drop the ball, so to speak, so they can trigger their own responses. Of the two, I think the latter is more likely, simply because fewer games means every company's bottom line more or less suffers. So clearly, we will get more than what has been announced. I imagine we'll start seeing more things at the next Nintendo Direct, PlayStation State of Play, or Xbox Showcase. If we don't get anything during those timeframes, then I imagine Summer Games Fest is when some games from next year will get shown off. So clearly, next year could either be a very weak one, or a very strong one, for releases. It's kind of a wait-and-see thing. No matter how you shake it, Grand Theft Auto 6 will be the biggest title next year, because people are just going to buy it out of morbid curiosity, since the game is going to stir up controversy. That has always been the primary appeal of these games: their shock value. It's like a car crash. You don't want to look, but generally speaking, you're unable to help yourself. If I'm honest, the last time I actually cared about Grand Theft Auto to any extent was the 4th release. And while I liked that game, I just felt done with the franchise after that. I did try out 5 a few times at friends' places and the like, but it just wasn't for me. So not only is the controversy a selling point for GTA 6, there's also the fact people just love Rockstar games, even though I don't get it for the most part. They do have mass appeal. Then again, I'm super counterculture in most things. So I feel like I'm burying the lead a little bit here. Why is this a problem for the industry as a whole? Ultimately, it means companies are going to be more conservative about things until they know what's going on, which leaves the consumers in the dark a little bit. With gamer confidence in AAA companies being super low as of late, this might be the catalyst for another industry crash. The ingredients are all there for a gaming crash akin to the one we had in 1983 through 85. Admittedly, the conditions for the crash were far more severe back then than they are now, since gaming had a ton more console manufacturers and a lot more shovelware. With the console market being consolidated down to just 3 big players means things are a little better on that front. Where the problem lies is the fact consumers just no longer trust AAA developers, since these big budget releases are either buggy messes when they launch, and they need to be severely patched to be in a playable state, or they're all fundamentally the same thing over and over again. I've covered that aspect of the games industry in more detail with my videos on why Sony need to diversify their lineup, why AAA games are dying, and why cinematic games are boring videos. Links for those will be in the description and a pinned comment. But if you like video essays akin to this one and those, why not hit the subscribe button? But a bland slate of releases, low confidence in AAA development, and Rockstar being on shaky ground themselves after the GTA remasters a few years back is a breeding ground for a mini crash. If GTA 6 isn't a near-perfect game, then a crash is imminent. I'm surprised one didn't happen after the sorry state Cyberpunk 2077 released in. The only reason the Grand Theft Auto remasters and Cyberpunk launched in such poor states comes down to exactly two things: exceptionally greedy shareholders and entitled fanbases. Both things lead to games releasing well before they're ready for prime time, which eventually kills consumer trust. I actually think it's a distinct possibility Rockstar will release this game in a very unpolished state. If this happens, consumer trust will be at an all-time low. Of course, this is just speculation on my part. There are other reasons why this is bad for the industry though. The gaming industry always works best when there are multiple huge games to look forward to. That's why 2020 is one of the best gaming years of all time, even if that particular year was shitty for everyone. The games were just coming out one after another. A strong release schedule doesn't just apply to the games industry. Take for example the film industry. The summer of 2023 was exceptional. You had big budget bangers like Oppenheimer and Barbie releasing on the same weekend, leading to the Barbenheimer double feature. Plus you had consistent winners like a new Mission Impossible film. Whenever there's multiple cool things to be excited for, consumers are just more likely to spend their money in general. I know when I used to go to a GameStop in my local mall when they actually carried games, and weren't just a Funko shop that sold a few games on the side, I would browse the sales, and I'd browse the used game bin, even if I was just there for one specific new release. Oftentimes, I'd get the game on sale or the used game along with my intended purchase. Also, this has always been a movie habit of mine. If I go to the cinemas and there's a second film I really want to see in that time frame, I'll often do a double feature. Sometimes it even works out cheaper than just seeing one movie if I go on a cheap Tuesday or something. So it's a knockdown effect. If gamers aren't buying a brand new game because games they're looking forward to have no release date, they are less likely to buy a game that's a bit older and potentially a bit cheaper, as they aren't going to be actively searching for games. More than likely, they'll just play whatever is on their backlog. So again, it means less revenue for the industry. While not directly related, this next point is kind of overlooked. They say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. How much validity you put into that statement is up to you. But there's no denying Grand Theft Auto games always cause other studios to try and copy their formula to some degree or another if they have open world gameplay where the player is given more agency over how to do things. So another reason studios might be holding back on announcing projects could be down to them having an open world game that could feature some similarities. If that's the case, more than likely, they'll want to copy one or two of Grand Theft Auto 6's new ideas. They'll just put their own spin on them. Obviously, modern game development is a lot longer than it used to be, so it takes a lot more time for developers to steal ideas from one another. But it's a possibility some Western studios are just waiting a bit longer so they can copy GTA's homework a bit. This impacts Japanese studios far less, since they have their own way of doing things. So again, this is possibly one reason why next year's lineup of games looks incredibly weak at present. If you think next year is looking weak, why not hit the like button? It'll go a long way to helping this video spread. Another thing to keep in mind, a weaker year for releases means things will be all the better for GTA 6. Why is that though? Because it signals to the normies they basically only have one choice when it comes to big budget games next year. Obviously people will have more choices, but it pretty much means Grand Theft Auto could run the gauntlet next year if no other big releases oppose it. If there's nothing else of interest, then people will just buy it so they have the big thing to talk about with other casual gamers. Even the more hardcore ones will buy it anyways, just to say they played it and to contribute to the discussion. If this winds up being the case, it'll be a big coup for Rockstar and their parent company Take-Two Interactive. It's something they probably want as well, since a cornered market is always best for the one doing the cornering. If I was to hazard a guess as to when we'll see GTA 6 release, I'm predicting in late September to early October of next year. We'll probably see more about the game and its potential release date around the time of the Game Awards, if not sooner, but comment when you think we'll see GTA 6. Personally, I'm not too bothered by the lack of new games getting concrete release dates for 2025. In my experience, I'm not the target audience for most of these big budget releases. Also, the games I would be interested in are more than likely releasing sometime next year. I'm calling it now, The Legend of Heroes Trails Through Daybreak 2 will come out during the spring or summer of next year, with Farewell Ozymuria to follow in the fall. 2XKO will come out when it comes out. Riot will put it out whenever they want to, as anything League of Legends related is going to perform well. We already know the expected release for Fatal Fury is sometime during Q1, so it'll more than likely be well out of GTA's way. As for Persona 6, the potential market crossover between the two properties is so small that Atlus is safe to put it out whenever they feel like. However, for games like Wolverine and anything else that's open world, that's going to be dicier. They appeal to the average gamer first and foremost, and anything directed at the normies will be competing with GTA. Rockstar don't want any competition, and their competitors don't want to go up against it. It's as simple as that. When do you think we'll see GTA 6 though? Sound off in the comments. Also, if you'd like early access to videos and exclusive content, why not consider becoming a channel member? Thanks go out to my current ones, R. Campbell and Danny Boy. Want more of my content? Why not check out the video YouTube thinks you'll enjoy? Until next time, keep blazing that trail.